Welcome, combatants, to another day in the arena. It's your boy James, aka NeuralNet Games, and today I am bringing you Crimson Vow spoilers, my favorite cards, the ones I think are going to be game changing or have some potential to really shake up the meta, do some fun things. Okay, let's get right to it. But actually, just before that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so that you are notified every time I put out a video. I'm going to be putting out videos all the time, original decks, news, etc. Anyways, the first card I want to talk about is Overcharged Amalgam. Forecasting cost, flash, flying, exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Overcharged Amalgam exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. This is absolutely game changing for blue tempo decks. You are going to be able to mess with people. You bring in a blocker, you counter a big spell, right? You counter an alrunds ephipany or something along those lines. You counter an ability, a planeswalker ability. So many good things can happen from this card. It's got to be the best flash card out there in standard right now. I'm always referring to standard. I pretty much only play standard. So pretty amazing card, and I can see a ton of potential in this. The next card I think is pretty interesting, although you're gonna have to build very specifically to make it work, is Olivia Crimson Bride. Total casting cost of 6, 4 plus a black and a red, flying and haste. Whenever Olivia Crimson Bride attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains when you don't control a legendary vampire. Exile this creature. Remember, this does not trigger effects, attack effects like Velomachus, stuff like that. It'll trigger ETB effects, but it won't trigger attack effects because they're already tapped and attacking. So just remember that when you're theory crafting. What I really see this being great for is something like Blood on the Snow. You blood on the snow of the field, out comes Olivia Crimson Bride. Out comes something else like a Daemogoth Titan or something ridiculous because you won't have to actually sacrifice a creature with the Daemogoth Titan. Yeah, there's a lot that can be done. I don't know if it's going to be viable in a lot of decks, but I think there's probably some interesting plays. And we've only seen, I don't know how much of the set. There's like 20 cards here, 30 cards or something. We haven't seen enough of the set to really know if there's something else that will make sense. But currently, there are a few things that can be done. But yeah, you're going to have to work hard to make it super effective. The next card I'm really interested in is the Voldaren Bloodcaster. It's a 2 casting cost flyer at 2/1. So pretty, yeah, pretty vulnerable to Spike Field Hazard and Cinderclasm, stuff like that. But I think it has a lot of potential. So let's go through it. Whenever Voldaren Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token, which is an artifact with, 1 mana, tap, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. So it's a little bit of, not really card draw, but card exchange for something better. However, whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Voldaren Bloodcaster. And the Bloodbat Summoner is a 3/3 flyer now. So we've paid 2 mana, right? And at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types. So for only 2 casting cost, it ends up being potentially um a game-changing play later on. I mean, you're gonna have to work your way into it. It takes a while to get to 5 blood tokens. I mean, maybe there's something in the set that makes this faster, but for only 2, there's not a lot of opportunity cost. Like only 2 mana, there's not a lot of opportunity cost to this card. And I think there's definitely some huge potential to, make some good mid-game plays with this. Really exciting stuff. The next card I want to talk about is by invitation only. And this is a board wipe where you can choose a number between 0 and 13. each player sacrifices that many creatures. And I could see this being very good in a bunch of different decks where you have a lot of creatures and then you just make your opponent sacrifice. You have 7, they have 5, their 5 go, you keep the 2 best. Completely game changing, I think. Very good for white. I could see this making its way into a mono white deck, no problem. You've got 4 creatures out, you wipe the board and you win, right? They have 2. Maybe you're against mono green and they've got to troll out or something like that. You're not able to get through. You take out their stuff, you keep some of your stuff. Very interesting board wipe dynamics will evolve from this card. I pretty much guarantee it. The next card I want to talk about is Fell Stinger. 2 plus a black for 3 total. Death Touch. Exploit. So when you sacrifice a creature, the effect happens. When Fell Stinger exploits a creature, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. This is huge velocity for these sacrifice decks with Shambling Gas, Eye Twitch, stuff like that. Instead of Skullport Merchant, which is almost more of like a tempo kind of deal, like it's card draw where it gives you an advantage, but it happens kind of slowly, right? You've got to kind of work your way into it. And I mean, Skullport Merchant's still an amazing card, but this is going to be better for decks that want to hit hard and fast and are, relying upon some card draw, some sacrifice. You sack your little Shambly here, you get a treasure token, you draw 2 cards, and you get a 3/2 Death Toucher out. Bang. 1 fell swoop. I mean, that is a huge turn 3 play that you could use to really just cruise. Like the velocity out of this card versus a Skullport Merchant is massive. And I think it's actually going to be a game changer for these mono black sacrifice decks, stuff like that. Okay, our next card is Dorothea, Vengeful Victim, a 2 casting cost flyer at 4/4 with disturb. And when Dorothea, Vengeful Victim attacks or blocks, sacrifice it at the end of combat. You want to block a 3rd turn gold span? This could be a massive stall tactic for a white-blue deck where you can stop aggro opponents with a huge creature that can just sit there. I think there are some aggro plays for this card as well. But before we get to that, let's talk about the second side. So the disturb is only a 3 cost and you enchant creature. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice that token at end of combat. So and then of course it's disturb, it goes to exile and it's gone. However, this could be a great play for like a mid-range type of deck where you want to slow down mono green, you want to slow down mono white in the beginning. So you have these big blockers out. And then once you get to the mid game and you've got some protection up, maybe you've got something that can hexproof. Maybe you've got a selfless glyph weaver where you can sacrifice and protect the creature by giving them indestructible or whatever. You can put that on that creature in the mid game, and then all of a sudden you're attacking and making an extra 4/4 haster. And if you could get a couple of those going, the game would be, out of reach pretty quick. So I think there are some aggro plays here, but if you get caught with your pants down, you could easily be in trouble with this card because there's some pretty high risk for the reward, right? Using this to enchant a creature is pretty risky. Stacking things on creatures is so risky in this meta with how much stuff there is to kill creatures. And so anytime you're enchanting a creature, that's kind of like 2 cards on 1, right? You've got to make sure that the play is actually going to work. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity here, I think. I don't know if it truly turns into something amazing, but I think there's potential. Last but not least, we've got another card that can impact all of those annoying Izzet turns, alrunds epiphany decks. And we've got Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, making a comeback. First strike, 2 mana, 2/1, legendary creature, with the ability non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Could potentially give a big edge to something like mono white against Izzet turns, although mono white already, I think, pretty much roast Izzet turns overall. However, I think there's a ton of potential here to alter the meta. Couple that with like a Redain, right? You have a Redain and you have a Thalia. You kind of play them, one after the other, stuff like that. You keep one in your hand so that um, you slow them down and you play it right before the alrunds turn so that they don't have the ability to get their combo off when they want to get their combo off. So pretty weak to removal. However, you would kind of use it in conjunction with Redain, right? I think you're going to need to use Redain first and kind of maybe alternate between them, things like that to really mess with those types of decks. Anyways, so much potential. I'm so excited. It comes out, Crimson Vow comes out November 19th on Arena, and it's going to be so fun. I can't wait to dig in. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button. I am going to be crushing out Crimson Vow content when it comes out, so, come here first. Anyways, just wanted to say thanks so much to my viewers, to my subscribers. Really appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you on the flip side.